Ladies and gentlemen, I've got something very special for you today. I have the one and only Trey Mourning is joining me for a client success interview. We're going to talk about the work that we've done over the past 4 months working together, helping him turn his online coaching business from a cash eating monster into a profitable machine. We're not done working yet, but we've achieved some pretty crazy results and changes that we're worth talking about right now. We've been working together to help him take full control of his business and his personal finances, helping him and his business reach stability with a brand new business after months of chaos and spikes, and much more. Trey is an online business owner from Florida. He's a professional basketball player who runs an amazing online business with a very unique offer, helping young basketball players dominate a part of the game that a lot of people don't talk about yet is one of the biggest drivers of success: the mindset. He's achieved insane growth and success as an entrepreneur in a very short period of time with a business that is not even a year old. But on top of everything, he's just a remarkable person. He's one of the most grounded, value-driven, intentional, and amazing human beings I've ever come across, and who I have the honor to not only having a great relationship, a professional relationship with him, but also call a friend. I'm really excited for this one. So with no further ado, let's get straight into it. Trey, welcome, brother. I didn't even ask you if you prefer Trey or Alonso for the introduction, man, but would you mind kicking things off with a quick overview of your background, who you are, what you do, and what your business looks like?
Definitely. No, for sure. My name is Trey Mourning. I'm based here in Miami, Florida, and I run a company called Coach Com. And what we do, we help basketball players score more points and stop overthinking. And right now, we help basketball players specifically between the ages of about 13 to 17, all across the United States. We're coming up on 100 clients now in just less than a year. I want to say it's been about 10 months since we started
It's
launching
crazy.
that. The LLC was officially finalized in November or October of 2024. So the numbers we're doing and the people we're impacting and people I'm meeting along the way, this has been the most rewarding and fulfilling time in my life. And I'm grateful to be on the call and grateful to talk more about the work we've done so far.
Yeah, man. Well, first of all, I really love that. And I think, I mean, I'm gonna get tired of saying this, and I know that as a high achiever, just like myself, which is easier to see when you're the one in the seat. But yeah, just seeing your growth, at least me personally, after being in this industry for more than 5 years and working with so many founders across the globe at many different levels, just the explosive growth that you felt, which I know for you doesn't feel sometimes like that, right? Because we're super hungry, driven, competitive, but it's still it's been amazing, bro, to see the remarkable journey that you've been able to achieve in the first year, which is crazy. And yeah, it just excites me to see what's going to happen in the following years. So yeah, man, just want to get straight into it. Just ask you, what was the biggest challenge that you were facing related to the work that we have been doing together before you joined the program?
No, definitely, man. I was making a lot of money. I just wasn't keeping it and I wasn't stewarding it well. It wasn't a result of me being, I don't think it was maybe immaturity. I think it was, I just didn't know better, right? I didn't know what I was doing. I was getting advice. And I think a lot of times within the industry, this coaching industry, and I've had some amazing coaches along the way, some of which that you know and have had the pleasure of working with. They've helped me tremendously get to a certain point. And I think what I needed after that was a guide to help me become sustainable, because there's this law that you taught me called Parkinson's law, and it's so true. And it's this law that says that when we have more, we will spend more naturally if we don't give ourselves the parameters and boundaries in place to be able to grow sustainably. So I was making a lot more than I ever had. Even as a professional basketball player, I made substantially more money in my business so far within the last 10 months than I had in my whole entire career, maybe a 4-year professional career. I think I want to say, shoot, we've probably done at least 2x of what I made in 4 years within 10 months. And it's amazing. And we're still growing as a business. Obviously, as I told you, we're about at 100 clients, and we work with both parents and players. So I consider both of those clients. And man, it's a lot to manage at times when you got clients coming in. And I've always learned that client success is the most important metric within business. And if you're not able to give your clients a great amount of value for the amount that they paid you, I don't think you should bring on more clients, right? And what you allow me to do is get to a point of sustainability. This doesn't go without fighting. I think we hear of conversations where you ask me a tough question and I'm like, dude, like I just wanted an answer. But no, I sit down, I think about it, and I'm like, dang, that's real. Like Does it even make sense to track that metric? Does it even make sense to do that? I think sometimes as entrepreneurs and as high achievers, Dan Martell talks about this as to how we can get addicted to breaking things because we just want to fix something. I'm finally in a position in my life where I don't worry about bills and I feel peace of mind and I feel clarity and I know where the money's coming from and I have a sustainable business that's able to help me afford a lifestyle that I absolutely love. Am I where I want to be yet? No, but thank God I'm not where I was before. And you're a big part of the reason why I'm where I am now.
Well, appreciate you sharing all of that, man. And it's been a true honor and a pleasure to play even a small part in that. But yeah, you touched on a lot of things, right? Like I think the first thing you brought up about making money is not the same as keeping money, right? And that's actually one of the main reasons of why I created this offer is after working with so many people, both with my own offers as well as like working inside of other businesses, like in the one that me and you met, that we're helping entrepreneurs how to make more sales, which don't get me wrong, it is important, right? Like actually sales is the first thing when it comes to business, right? Like sales is the equivalent of oxygen. But it was very surprising for me to see how even we were being able, we were being very successful at helping people make more sales. But me being their coach, you know, the client success manager behind the scenes, it was very surprising to see that even the big dogs that you saw with like the like 50K, 100K screenshots in the Stripe, there was still no money left in the bank account, right? So like I started calling it the Stripe plague, but it was just very interesting for me to see that pattern. And I was like, okay, what's going on here, right? So yeah, that's when it really hit home that yeah, making money and keeping money are two completely different things. And it's interesting because a lot of people mention systems when it comes to business, right? And everyone has like a marketing system, they have like a client success system, a delivery system. But interestingly, we found out that most businesses, like the most neglected system is a cash flow system. Like when you ask people, hey, what is your cash flow system? Most people don't know what to answer. And some of them say like, well, yeah, sales minus expense equals profit. I'm like, bro, that's a formula. That's not a system, right? So it's just, I think, an important thing. And the thing is with you, and I think what's very interesting thing about your specific situation is that you blew up really fast, right? So like, of course, you needed to get help first on how to make sales. But it sounds like it was great timing the moment that we started working together to help you, let's just say, like tame that beast that was, you know, starting to get a little bit, you know, uncontrollable in terms of like of okay, what do I do with this money, right? What you mentioned, the Parkinson's law, which if you allow me to, I would love to share your graph, which I think is when it all hit home.
Definitely. No, you can share my Parkinson's law graph.
We're gonna pull that up right now. So yeah, I remember. So when Trey joined, basically ask him, because at the end of the day, and that's also the thing that I love about this, is that numbers don't lie, right? Like the easiest person to fool is ourselves, especially as high achievers entrepreneurs. So when I tell people like, hey, you know, Parkinson's law, as Trey shared, I mean, a lot of people know it in the productivity world, but like it's actually it covers more than just the productivity and the deadlines, and basically says that we as humans, our natural behavior is whatever we have available of, we consume. We give ourselves a lot of time, we consume it. We give ourselves a lot of food, we consume it. We give ourselves a lot of money, we consume it. So when I tell people about this and like, nah, bro, I'm good with how I manage my money, I'm like, cool, but just share with me your bank statements from the last 12 months and let's see what the numbers say, right? And what I'm about to share with you is actually Trey's analysis. There are no numbers shown there because it's not about the numbers, because I've seen the same pattern with 6-figure business, 7-figure businesses. Like it's the same pattern. And it's this right here. This is just Parkinson's law beautifully laid out in just a chart, right? Where you can see like the blue. This is actually, I think when by the time that we started working together, I told this is like the previous 6 months of when we analyzed all of your bank statements. We just looked at all of the first 6 months of your business. And this is a chart mapping out the daily income and the daily expense. So like literally each point is just one day. And it's so interesting to see, right? Like every time we saw a spike in income, it was immediately followed by a spike in expense. And I know that a lot of people, when they hear this and they see this, they're like, nah, bro, that's not me. And I'm like, dude, like, I mean, it's in different magnitudes, but like every single time that we do this analysis, the pattern is the exact same thing. Why? Because that's just natural human behavior, right? So yeah, I think it was interesting to see just how fast you were growing and like the moment that we started working together, because I mean, you did what you had to do. You got the business alive and up and running and making more money than what a lot of people take months or even years to make, right? Like the revenue levels that you were achieving. But yeah, we like once you conquered that sales level, it now all became about like that stability, right? So I think it's always amazing to see that chart. I remember your face the first time that we saw it, right? What was your thought?
No, it was embarrassing to be quite honest with you. Like just thinking about how I didn't know better. I was making I think in January we did $65,000 in revenue, and I didn't know what to do with all that money. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people talk about athletes going broke, right? I've seen it. Not a lot of people talk about entrepreneurs being in the same situation, right? There's some other coaches I work with who helped me with that, and I think you helped really bring it home with this graph and with the information that you provided. And I just think the program overall is so detailed, and it gets into the nitty gritty. And you operate from a framework called first principles, and it really allows us to get to the foundation of understanding. Okay, like why are you actually doing what you're doing? And I'd say this, like this program isn't for the faint of heart. Like this isn't for people who, I guess, just want to grow their business and want somebody who is going to tell them all the answers. Like, no, like you're going to get to a point where you have to do things for yourself, because a good coach is a coach who leads you to a certain point and then lets go of your hand once he realizes that you can take the training wheels off. Right. And I think developing the systems and the understanding, I can't refute the data. I can't refute the data that the fact that when we've gone down a big spike in money, we've just spent that money. And I found the reason for it, and I can't blame it on, oh, my business is my business. That. No, I am the one who is responsible for spending this money, and I have to really take a look in the mirror and make the necessary changes. And I was really surprised with how you showed me that I could still live a lifestyle where I'm spending a substantial amount of money in some people's standards on my own well-being and living. I got a fridge full of food, and I got a car full of gas, and my basic stuff is paid for. I had to develop a different level of patience in order to work through certain things. And I'm grateful for that. And yeah, man, it's really a God thing. The timing that we worked out, we started working together, because I was crashing and burning, and I didn't realize that I was crashing. I wasn't burning yet, but I was crashing when we started working together, and I did not realize that I was crashing.
Can you tell us more about that? Like, where were you exactly when you joined?
Yeah, man. So I think as an entrepreneur, there's several different phases that we have to go through. And this is something you've taught me as well. There's really 5 different phases. And this is from a book that you would reference in the program, forgetting the name of it, but I think it's Mike Kowalewicz who wrote this book. And in the first phase, you have sales, because you said the lifeblood of a business is sales. So you need to have a foundation of sales before you move on to the next phase. The next phase is profitability, and specifically sustainability, right? Setting up a business that consistently months, after we started working together, that was the first time that we had 2 months back to back. I won't say the specific figure, but the first time we had 2 months back to back over a certain amount of money. And I was like, whoa, like that's great. Like bills are paid for, and like
And with the same business, right? Which I think was another important.
same business, right? I think for me, my eyes got so big when we made the 65,000 in January. And when we made that amount, I was like, okay, what do I invest in next? Because I had invested in so many programs to help me get there. I think I invested maybe 30 grand in mentorships, 30 some grand in mentorships in total so far in the past 12 months. So I've learned a whole lot, and I'm thinking like, okay, where do I put this money next to multiply it? But I wasn't paying myself, right? I wasn't paying myself. And the next level of sustainability, of profitability specifically, taps into that profit first and being able to pay myself first. And when we collect cash and I distribute the money and I put the money in my profit account, it put a smile on my on my face yesterday. I was actually talking to one of my employees about this right before we hopped on this call. And I was like, man, like it's really refreshing to just look at my account and be like, oh, I forgot I had that much in there.
Yeah.
Just regardless of what's going on. And it makes life a lot easier when I'm getting on a sales call or I'm speaking with a prospect, and I know that I have X amount of several thousand or however amount just away in an account where I'm like, I'm good for the next so often, right? At least my business in some other areas. So what I ended up doing that really led to this crashing was I tried to jump from phase 1 sales all the way to phase 3, which is about building out the systems, right? And operations. And I made some hires too early on in the process, and I really just offloaded it. I was like, hey, like you take sales and you take this and you'll go ahead and do that. And my eyes got too big, and I learned from the example of other people I had seen before, because I don't think there's a program like this that I've ever seen in terms of being able to, hey, let me help entrepreneurs in the online space scale efficiently, effectively, make sure that they are not crashing and making the wrong decisions. And it requires a tremendous level of patience, and it's possible. And it's made me so much better. You made me a commitment when we first started working together, and you said we're going to make this the best year of your life so far. And it has been the best. It's been the best 2 months of my life so far. Just the fact that I can breathe. I remember we hopped on a call, you and I, and you asked like, what's on your mind right before we get started, which I think is really effective, because it's important to know what's on your client's mind before they step into a meeting with you, so you can focus on getting to work. And man, like I shared with you, I'm like, dude, like I feel peace. Like I feel like this agitation inside of me to want to do more and run around and do stuff, but I don't have to. I really don't have to, because I don't have to close a deal in order to feel good about myself or pay bills. We don't have to. And it's only getting better. Money's stacking up, and I have more peace than I did yesterday, and I will have more tomorrow, I'm sure.
Well, I have no idea how much I love to hear that, Trey. Like, I know we've seen this, but just, yeah, that's what it's all about for me and the work that we've been doing. It's just been amazing to see you take that because, yeah, as you said in the beginning, part of the approach that I take, and I think that's something that I tell everyone that I work with is like, I like to teach from first principles because at the end of the day, I work with founders, right? So it's a mixture of both because at the same time, I also try to take as much effort and sacrifice out of your plate, right? Like, and do some done for you stuff on the back end or whenever I can chime in and help. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm working with a founder at the end of the day, right? And if you just come and fix something for the founder without explaining to them from first principles, and the reason why I love first principles so much is because first principles is not an opinion, right? Like, it's not something that I believe or something that you believe. If we get to a conclusion of something from a first principles perspective and it clicks in your brain, then like the change that we make is long lasting, right? And that's what I want because I've seen, you lived like, I think you've been what in this industry for I think a year or two. My journey's been a bit longer. I've been in this industry for more than 6 years and I've invested over six figures in different programs. And it's been a bit disappointing to see, one, the quality of some of them, which I'm not going to talk about right now, but just like also even seeing that some of the, if you look really closely, honestly, like a lot of, even with the ones that do seem that have success, and that's why the whole frame that I built this from is called the PRO, right? Framework, which is the three pillars, which is profit first, resource allocation, optimized execution, because I've just seen a lot of people operate their business in a very noob way. And one of those things is we have, myself included, before I got into all of this, very short time horizons, right? Like we have one good month, a record month, and we think that's a new normal, and then we raise expense, we assume everything is going to be the same, and that's usually not the case. Or you have someone have one good month and then you blast the fuck out of that like case study and success, but then you look at those people 5 months or 6 months later and they're no longer there. Why? Because most people just focus on like short-term solutions. And the reason why I just wanted to build this, and what you said is not for everyone, the way that I did from first principles, because I'm working with a founder, and I like to work with people that want to be doing this thing for the next 5 years, 10 years, right? So I know that if I just come here and I just install the system and don't explain to you the reason why behind everything that we're doing, the change probably not going to last long, because by the time you and me are done working together, then you're not going to, be able to do that. So yeah, I think first principles been a game changer for me personally, but also in the way that I interact. So I did want to touch on that. But yeah, and also what you said about the just being able to breathe, right? And I just remember how reactive, and I think I shared with you, like, of course I didn't share with you at the time that because I think by the time that you joined, it had been like a couple of weeks without any sales really, and like it was starting to pile up and rent was coming, and I was like, so even I was starting to get stressed, and I was like, okay, Trey, we need to focus on this thing, right? And we came up with a plan. We ended up making it work, which was incredible to see you execute that relentlessly. But yeah, I think it's that difference that even sometimes, and even you said it, even on the record month that you had in January, when you were making money, just the lack of clarity of a cash flow system creates all of that, like, like guilt or lack of, of peace, right? You're just stressed and anxious because you don't know what is the intention behind each dollar, which is the beauty about the system that we've been implementing. And also what we realized that in the, what was it, 6 months that you had been running your business, every single month, you pretty much had a different business, right? You were just making so many changes, right? And I was like, bro, like, yeah, it was like, that's why I think our mantra has been like, let's just reach stability, right? And reach stability. So it's been amazing to see you, yeah, just to see you execute on that and also being open to that type of coaching, right? Because like being challenged from first principles is not easy. But I mean, look where we are now, right? Like I'm pretty sure that all the stuff that we've been implementing moving forward, even when we stop working together, it's gonna stay with you for hopefully for the rest of your career.
Definitely, most definitely. That's my hope, and I believe it's possible for sure.
So yeah, and actually wanted to show this thing that you were speaking about, and I think it's a great topic because I've seen this be one of the biggest mistakes. So you're speaking, I think you're referencing this pyramid right here, right? So this thing right here is it's called the business priority pyramid, and as Trey shared, it was created by Mike Michalowicz, who is the author of Profit First and a lot of other best-selling books. Who is, in my opinion, an amazing entrepreneur that you can learn a lot from. His books are incredible, and this one specifically is from a book that is called Fix This Next, where pretty much he came up with this concept of the business priority pyramid, which is the equivalent of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is like the pyramid of needs for human needs, but this is for the business's needs, right? So one of the biggest things that I have to remind people is like, hey, you and your business, or the founders that I work with, you and your business are two completely separate entities. You're two completely separate beings. Each of you has different needs, different levels, different needs and different wants, right? And we need to clearly separate those. So what Trey mentioned, it was this, right? And the biggest mistake that I see a lot of people make is like, again, sales is important, 100%. That's like the oxygen. So sales is the creation of cash. The next level is profit, which is the creation of stability. The third level is order, which is the creation of efficiency. And the last two levels, I'm not going to talk about them right now, not that important. But basically what I've seen a lot of people make, and the reason, one of the main reasons I created this program is that people conquer the sales level to a certain degree, and they immediately try to jump from sales to order, which is the equivalent of trying to, I like to think of this as if I'm building a 5-story building, right? And each of these levels is like a floor. It's the equivalent of trying to build the first floor, the third floor on top of the first floor without the second one. What happens? Things fall apart, right? And I think that was a bit of your situation, literally the same pattern. Record month, we assume that's the new normal. We hire like crazy, and then, well, business is not linear and there's spikes, right? And then, so yeah, that's why we've been focusing so much. And I think it's been the mantra that I'm like, bro, let's just focus this quarter. Let's reach stability. Let's reach stability. And I mean, you just said it yourself, right? It's been the first time in all of your entrepreneurial career that we had to back-to-back months with the same business, that we hit our goals that give you a very comfortable lifestyle. And you also haven't even touched about your calendar, right? Which I think is one of the things I told that most people envy about your current lifestyle. But thanks to a system like that, right?
Definitely, definitely. Now with my calendar, I think for me as a former professional athlete, I think about health a lot differently than other people. I'm doing Pilates twice a week, and I live 4 days a week. And right before this, I was just laying down at the pool tanning, and I have my gallon water bottle next to me. So I think about health a lot differently, and I don't want to burn out. Right? I've lived in burnout before. I've done this whole song and dance of just work, 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 work as a basketball player. And I tried it as an entrepreneur, and I just realized like, no, believe it or not, I need my 9 hours of sleep a night. I need to rest, and I need to refuel, and I need to eat. And I think this whole entire process, like even the meal prep, we haven't really talked about that, bro. Like, remember I was so stressed because I had the money to do it, to eat out, which was a blessing. And I'm really grateful for that. It was just the cognitive load of thinking about like, oh my God, but what am I going to have for lunch, and what's for breakfast, and what's for dinner? Like, what am I going to order on Uber Eats? And as an entrepreneur within this position in the online space, we're at home. Like, I'm in my office in my apartment right now. So there's not a lot of time throughout the day where I can go cook, where I can go and run out and get in the car and go here and there and everywhere, and spend hours driving to places to go get food and go get groceries and all that. So we need to build out a system and a lifestyle that really fit the business as well. And as you said, my business and me are two different people. And that's something that I need reiterating, just to remember, like, hey, like, I'm a very different person in my business. And the goal is to build a business that doesn't necessarily need to rest the same way I do, and is able to help people, I guess, around the clock. And I think, we're very close to that. There's definitely a lot more work to do, and we'll get there. I'm confident. It's just, it's really peaceful knowing that I'm not my business.
Yeah. And I think at the end, that's what it comes down to. Like, business is all about resource allocation, right? And that's why I try to focus so much on, especially with making it a personalized experience, because also that's something that I've seen just me personally. Well, first of all, I love coaching. I love building the types of relationships like the one that you and me have built, right? And then be able to really get to know the founders that I'm working with, which are doing amazing things like you and just changing and impacting the lives of so many people, like 100 clients in a year, which is still crazy for me to, hear that number.
Blessing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. No, big time. But yeah, but also at the end of the day, that's the game with business, right? It's resource allocation. How can we squeeze as much output out of the limited resources that we have, which are the input, which is time, energy, attention, as entrepreneurs, money, right? Which is the whole point of this thing that we've been doing together. So what Profit First does is allows you to squeeze as much out of the sales that you generate, right? The money, but also in the performance and the resource allocation part that we've been working, which in your case, we realized, and I just it makes me really happy when you use like the terms of like honestly it's one of the most amazing things that I've seen of the work that we've done together, just how much you internalize the concept. Like you're using the cognitive load right now when speaking about the food. I was like, yes. But yeah, that was a big thing, right? Like some people don't realize, again, we have limited time, energy, and attention as entrepreneurs, especially when we haven't built like a big team and we're the type of business that we have as online coaches. So coming up with like personalized systems, like in your case, like bro, I was like, every time I think it was like that for the first 2 months before we implemented like the food, we took care of the food stuff. I was like, every single call, something came up. I'm like, Trey, like just like your cognitive load, bro. It's just like spending so much time and attention just figuring out what to eat, right? So yeah, it's just been incredible to see how you've been able to allocate your resources in a way that gives you today the lifestyle that you have, man. As I told you, I know that maybe revenue wise, the business is not there yet in terms of the goals that you have. But like, again, what is the trade off? Because if you ask me, and I've told you this without using any names, but I know so many people, so many founders that would kill for the routine that you have right now, right? Like you being able to grow your business without burning yourself out, working 16 hours, like your routine is like, it's amazing, man. And again, it's tailored towards you. So wealth is not just about, I'm a true believer in that. Wealth is not just about the money, but about you being able to work out, to eat healthy, spend time with friends, and at the same time still grow the business, right? Which is it's focusing about the right things. So yeah, I think it's been great to see how you've been really maximizing those resources. And as you said, the job's not done, but just the changes of seeing how you were doing with the money by the time that we start working together and just where you are now with your routine as well, with the food and all those things, it's going to keep, stacking up.
Definitely. Definitely. I think like compound interest is huge in terms of these small decisions that we're making, and getting 1% better every single day is a lot, right? And it stacks up over time. I like to use this example even with my clients that I learned this from Atomic Habits, that if today we're at 100 points and we want to get 1% better, tomorrow we're going to be at 101. But if we want to get 1% better the next day, we're not going to be at 102. We're going to be at more than 102 because of the compound interest. I believe it's like 102.01. And then it keeps stacking and stacking more. And by the time you're at 200, when you're at 200 and you get 1% better, you're actually in one day, you're getting double the amount that you got better before. So it just keeps stacking. I think that's where we are as a business. And you're talking about my time. I even pulled up my calendar right now. I work probably from 3 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Hmm.
Yeah, which is pretty good. I mean, I don't even know how many hours that is, 5.5 hours, if that.
Yeah.
And I take breaks in between, and sometimes I don't even have calls. So I'm really just crunching numbers and moving some stuff around and do what I need to do. But I have a lot of time and I don't need to be busy. And I think I'm working more efficiently in other areas of my life because I finally have the time to be able to do it. Like I even think with my calendar, this is a bit personal, but I moved this around. Today, I used to lift like for 2 hours a day, and now I'm doing Pilates and I only lift 1 hour a day, 1 hour a day. And I'm really into efficiency now as a result of working together. And I just see so much opportunity to be more efficient. So it's cool. It's cool how this trickles into other areas of my life as well.
Yeah, and I think one of the most amazing things is also just what you mentioned about the peace, right? Like I remember when we started working together, every single time there was just so much stress and anxiety and being so reactive. And what you just said right now, right? Like even just being, even if you don't have a sales call, you're peaceful, right? Because I mean, when you join, and that's the exact same situation with everyone that I started working with, and I asked him this question, right? Of like, how like do you feel that you're constantly in need of having to make sales, like you're feeling rushed? And most everyone says yes. And just seeing you, I think you shared this story with me, what was it, yesterday, that even on a sales call, right, that you were so detached from it that with that, or even not having a call on the calendar, you're still doing well because you have the clarity also with the money, right, and how we're allocating it.
No, definitely, definitely. I was able to, yeah, I walked away from a deal the other day, and then the gentleman, he ended up coming back a couple hours later, and he's like, "Hey, let's do it." And I wasn't betting on it. I walked away knowing that, like, dude, like, we're gonna have another person who I speak with tomorrow. Many people who could enroll within the program, and he came back and paid in full. So it was really refreshing to have that happen, and
Yeah.
not need it. Truly, just being a position like, I don't need it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that changes the game, just coming from a place of abundance instead of scarcity. So yeah, just to wrap things up, man, and it's been amazing. And I know we still have a lot to go or to do together. But yeah, just want to ask you, why did you decide to invest in yourself and in the program?
I'm decided to invest in you. I think we met within another program. You're the client success manager there. And I remember you told me what you reached out to me. You're like, hey, like, I'm building this program. This is what we do. And you were doing the sales call with me, and you did a detailed presentation of everything. And I remember cutting you off in the beginning. I'm like, bro, just take my money. Like, here's my credit card. Basically, take my money. And you still wanted to do the whole entire presentation because you're very thorough and polite like that. I'm like, all right, bro, do your thing. And then I started shortly after that. So it's really like a personality fit. I feel like we really connected in another program. And I think good people have a better opportunity to build good things than bad people, right? And you're a really good person, and you are building something that is fantastic. It's extremely thorough. And like I said, it's not for the faint of heart. It's not for people who don't want to be challenged. And on the other side of that challenge is so much peace. It's ridiculous. If you get rid of all the clutter and you understand, like, I'm making this decision for this reason. And I think sometimes entrepreneurs, we get think with an ego, with such a big ego. It's like, I made all this money. Like, I don't have to answer to anybody now. It's like, no, like, the best entrepreneurs always have somebody to answer to because they want to be held accountable by coaches and mentors and people they have in their life. And I want to be a fantastic entrepreneur. I want to be a world-class entrepreneur, one of the best. So that's why I'm in this program.
Appreciate you sharing that, Trey. And I think it was mutual. And yeah, I remember you reaching out. I think in the beginning you asked because I was working on like the beta version. I wanted to test things out before actually doing the official launch, which we're getting really close to, just to make sure that, as you said yourself, and I'm a like big believer of that, that product and client success is everything. And I want my product to speak for itself. So before I launched, I was like, I want to test things with a couple people, and I'm really glad that you're one of the ones that reached out. I think in the beginning it was like, yeah, you were like, bro, I need some help with like my routine, and I was like, yeah, bro, let's talk. And that's when I was like, I want to work with you. I'm like, cool, I just want to show you what I've built, right? And I remember that sales coach was funny. Just take my money, but I'm like, no, bro, I want you to know what you're getting into, man. Like, just wait, you know. But no, it's been incredible, man. And yeah, and I think one of the most amazing things, I mean, aside of yeah, what you mentioned, it's just incredible to connect with people with so much, you know, so many values that you can relate as much as I was able to relate with you. But it's just been incredible to see your journey. And even with all of the stress, just what speaks very highly of you, something that I did want to bring up is even with that stress, that reactiveness, like even not, I think it was like 6 or 8 weeks that you hadn't make any sales by the time that you joined. And like, there was like, and when we were putting that plan together to, you know, meeting pretty much daily just to get that rolling, but you were still finding time or I mean time and money to give back, right? Like to things that you believed in. So that's something that was like really stood out as like, and what I mentioned about really incredible to see how you've been able to squeeze those resources. So yeah, it's been amazing. And as you said, there's still a lot of work to do together, which I'm really excited to see and see how that thing is going to keep compounding all the work that we've been doing together. So yeah, we'll just to wrap things up, ask you what was your favorite part of the work that we did together, that we've done together so far.
I think you touched on it earlier, how I internalized everything, how I started to think about these systems in my own life, because a, a coach can only do so much in an hour session, but a great coach is a coach who gives you things to think about, right? Plants those seeds, who doesn't just give you the answers, but ask you the tough questions where you're like, dang. I think we both, somebody, he's a former sales coach of mine. He said that people will gauge the level of your intelligence, not by the statements that you make, but by the questions that you ask. And dude, like, I'm not to gauge your intelligence or anything, but man, like, you asked me some really valuable, simple questions. And I'm like, even on our call yesterday, I was like, dang, I hadn't thought about that. And I had to pause and I thought, and like, maybe we do need to remove that, because I don't know what that's getting us aside from, you know, feeling good about ourselves just because we track this metric and we're like, yeah, like but it doesn't move any needles forward. So it's a streamlined, minimalistic approach. And I think it's benefited me. So that's been my favorite thing.
Love that, Trey. And I mean, it takes two to tango to do that. So I appreciate you being open to be challenged. I know it's not easy. That's the whole point of first principles, which I love, right? So just to wrap things up, brother, if you could give one piece of hard tactical advice to anyone who's listening that might be looking for some help, and just to wrap it up, if anyone is interested in working with you, where can they find you?
Well, definitely. I think what came to mind initially is that as an entrepreneur, Dan Martella said this. He said that as an entrepreneur, you are the reason why things aren't working within your business. And as a founder, that's the case as well. I think it's literally leadership from the top down. And the better I become, I teach from this principle called overflow. And the more I'm able to overflow rather than pour out into other people, the better other people become. But it starts by pouring into myself. That's why I have the days and the structure that I have, because the more full I am coming into the meetings that I take, the better the people around me are going to be as a result. And they can start overflowing in other people's lives as well. And that's what you've been able to show me as well, and the way you operate. And then, oh yeah, if you do want to follow me and work with me, reach out to me. Reach out to us on Instagram at coach, COACH, COMMA. Or you can reach out to my personal Instagram page, and that's at Trey Mourning, TREY Mourning, MOURNING. And there's an underscore after that too. So
Amazing. Well, brother, I love that. I appreciate you sharing that. And just for you to know, it's mutual. And I think I've told you that just the way that you show up to every call. I've also been able to learn a lot. So, man, it's been an absolute honor and pleasure working with you so far and having you here. I really appreciate your time. And I'm excited for what's coming towards the end of this year and the work that we have left together, man, with all the stuff that we've been doing, the changes. Yeah, it's going to compound and it's going to get crazy. So, just as a video that you shared with me the other day, I'm excited at the end of the year to see you doing those flips in the beach. And
yes,
yeah, bro. But again, just appreciate your time, Trey. And let's wrap up the year strong, brother.
bro. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
So that was the interview with Mr. Trey. Alonzo Mourning, after the time that we've been working together this past, what has it been, like 3 months, 4 months? And yeah, as he said, there's still a lot of work for us to do. But yeah, some of the amazing changes and results that we've been able to achieve during that time. And for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Eduardo Leo, and I help online founders scale their businesses profitably without burning out. We install profit and performance systems to help entrepreneurs keep more money, work fewer hours, and maximize their outputs. I am a certified peak performance coach recognized by the International Coaching Federation, a profit first professional, and a fix this next advisor with over 5 years of experience and more than 2,000 hours of coaching. I've had the privilege of working with more than 300 online founders across the globe, from 6 and 7 figures entrepreneurs in multiple niches to internal roles inside fast growing companies. I've led the backend operations and client success for a 7-figure info product business doing more than 200K per month with just a team of 6 members, managing over 200 clients alone, and led the appointment setting team that booked more than 30 qualified calls per week and helped increase the company's revenue by 600%. And if you're interested about building a profitable, high-performing online business without burning yourself to the ground, make sure to subscribe. For everyone watching, thank you for your time, energy, and attention, and we'll see you in the next one.